Okay, and I'm back. So, earlier in the week, the President of Mexico, did a very interesting announcement and laid out a set of rules for proper video gaming, and I found it very interesting, so let's go through it. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. There you go.
Super Dario World!
Okay, so I kind of messed that up again, but whatever. What can you do? Mob Nasty, good morning. How's it going? Hope it's going well. Well, I guess it's a good time to mention it. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can join me live on the chat. I'm streaming this thing, everything. I'm trying to do live stream every single episode live. I guess that would be the correct way to saying it. Mondays through Fridays. I'm aiming for 10 a.m. Today I was a little bit late. My brother left my niece here for the weekend, so I've been babysitting a little bit, and guess what? Babies kind of tend to take you out of your routine, so whatever, doesn't matter. It was fun. It's the price you pay for being the favorite uncle, you know? Still, it was fun. It's enjoyable. You get to teach him new games. It's funny how, you know, with kids, everything is a toy. You know, everything, absolutely everything's a toy. Anything can be a game, but whatever. That's not what we're talking about today. And actually, before we talk about also, if you want to send me anything privately or whatever, you can do that on Instagram at DarioSDW and at Super Dario World. Like I said, live stream, YouTube and Twitch at Super Dario World. Like, subscribe, it helps me out a lot. I really appreciate it. But before we get into the video game thing, which I think it's very interesting because it's an issue that's been popping up a lot everywhere in a variety of different cultures, and now it seems to be getting somewhat worse. And the worst part is that I don't 100% disagree with the rules. So, but before we get into that, the big breaking news in the industry is related to Alec Baldwin. So, there's not a lot of information out yet, so I'm not going to go too deep into the story. But basically, on the set of Alec Baldwin's new movie, due to, I believe it's failures of the prop department, they had he basically shot and killed the director of photography, and the director also got shot. It seems like he's gonna make it, but I believe that it was only one shot, so I'm assuming that the shot was aimed at the camera, and that's why they got the director of photography, and probably the director was standing right next to her. I don't know, it's a tragedy. It's one of those things that you don't really understand how they could happen. You supposedly have a group of professionals that are supposed to be, you know, not bringing live ammo into a thing. But again, I don't know the type of gun. It could be a situation similar to what happened to Brandon Lee and The Crow. I don't know. But condolences to Helena Hutchins' family. She died. She was 42 when she died. It's a tragedy, and again, I won't go too deep into this until there's more information coming out. Supposedly, Alec Baldwin's talked to the police. Supposedly, no charges are being filed, but still, it's gotta be rough. It's one of those things where you're just planning to go to work and you're doing everything normally, and you don't expect you're gonna end up killing somebody. So it's just a tragedy all around. I'm assuming that dude's gonna have to go to therapy. The movie's been put on an extended hiatus, and I can understand why. Can you imagine that? How do you fire a prop gun after that? There's got to be some kind of trauma. So I don't know. It's like I said, when there's more info about this, I'll update you. But that's the big breaking news of the day at least in the entertainment industry. But all right, let's switch to the big topic of this particular podcast, and that's the President of Mexico's conference, which went down on Wednesday. Now, for those of you who don't know, I am currently in Mexico. I grew up in Mexico. I went to kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, and high school in Mexico. I even did a little bit of college in Mexico. So I'm invested in what happens here. And I also think that it kind of correlates a little with what's been happening with the video game industry worldwide. If you remember, a few years ago, I made a podcast complaining that the WHO, that's the World Health Organization, labeled video gaming a mental disorder. And there's serious consequences to that. This case is not exactly that. It's more of a throwing blame at something. And I don't know why video games have always, well, I do understand why. Why politicians or community leaders find it a convenient outlet for throwing blame. It's like, oh yeah, it's the video games and making the kids violent and all that stuff. Even though, like if you see the statistics of video game use goes up while violent crimes have been going down. So the more people use violent video games, the violence crimes have gone down. Now 2020 would be and 2021 are an exception to that. But I'm saying, just if you look at the data, the patterns just it's one's going up, one's going down. So I mean, correlation does not equal causation, but I mean, if you think that if there's video games that make people violent and more people are playing those video games, that means that more violent crime should be occurring, right? But the inverse is true, that crime is going down. So maybe one has nothing to do with the other. So, but it's always been a convenient outlet for politicians to be like, oh, well, I have a bad policy and it's leading to more violence, so let's blame video games. Why? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Because, I mean, maybe it works with some parents because, let's be honest, the people at fault are parents. It's the parents. And if you're trying to get elected by the parents, you're not going to be like, well, it's your fault. That's not a good way to win votes, so that's probably why they do it. But the people who actually play video games and who are part of the communities are like, yeah, fucking stupid? What the fuck does that mean? But the interesting thing here is that he set up a Decalogue of rules. Now, for those of you who don't know, Decalogue means 10 rules or 10 commandments or whatever. It's another way of saying like 10. It's a conjunction of some, but it's 10 of them. And I don't 100% disagree with the rules. The rules actually seem pretty logical and straightforward. The problem was this dude's delivery. He's a terrible speaker. And I mean terrible. Like, put this, like, if you're watching this in the U.S., you've seen Joe Biden talk, listen, fat, and it's terrible, and like, show the pressure. It's hard to listen to. You're like, what the hell did he just say? What the hell is a two-faced pony soldier, or whatever he said? Dog-faced pony soldier, I'm sorry. It's hard to listen to. This guy is just as bad, and just as hysterical. He just trails off in the middle of a sentence. It's brutal to listen to, unless you're seeing somebody else suffer while he's listening to it, and you're like, haha, at least you're suffering too. So, he made a brief statement, and this statement is what I have issues with. The rules are actually pretty much fine. So let me give you the rules, and let's see what, because this dude talks off the cuff. It's hysterical sometimes. But anyway, here's the rules, and I'm going to translate them for you. It's 10 rules. First off, don't play or chat with strangers. Duh. Okay, that rule's fine. I mean, if you're playing online, you're going to end up playing with strangers, but I get it. If it's a child, you're like, all right, you don't want to play with strangers. Don't talk to them, at least. That's fair. Don't communicate with strangers. That is fair. That's fine. Acceptable. Let's just say common sense rule. Next, establish establish times for playing the game. Again, parenting 101, you gotta set boundaries, you gotta set limits, certain times, whatever. Rule number 3, don't use your personal email account. Again, reasonable stuff. You don't want to get all that spam email and stuff in your personal email. Okay, acceptable. Rule number 4, don't provide personal details or phone number. Don't provide personal details from phone number to bank accounts to anybody. Fucking duh. But alright, again, common sense rule, whatever. Number 5, don't use your microphone or camera. Now here's where you're going to come up with some issues. Now if you're a kid, I completely understand this, but kids want to chat too. I don't see you want to talk shit and stuff like that. It's kind of difficult, but I get it. The camera stuff, I get it. In fact, I think using the camera might even be a good thing, because that way you know who you're playing with. If you're playing with somebody who's pretending to be a 13-year-old and you can see like, hey, that dude's got a beard, you're like, maybe I should not talk to this weirdo. So it's a double-edged sword, but if you're going to be on the safe side for the kids, and I get it, not 100%, because kind of what I'm doing right now, I'm talking to the camera on the internet, but I'm a grown-ass man, so different rules, I guess. Anyway, number 6, do not provide your location. Again, fucking duh. You don't want strangers on the internet to know where you live, especially if you've been talking shit to them, because there's crazy people on the internet. Number 7, report aggressive accounts or suspicious accounts. this is something that not a lot of people do. I don't think I've ever reported anybody because I just tend to ignore people. But I mean, if you want to, I mean, here the thing is, what counts as an aggressive account? Because some people just like talking shit. So it's difficult, not completely unreasonable, but difficult. Number 8, maintain the safety configurations of all your devices. Again, duh, that's something the parents should be doing. They should be setting up. Number 9, in the case of minors, play under the supervision of adults. Yeah, okay. I mean, again, that just goes to be like, be a good parent. Make sure you know what your kids are doing. If they're going to be playing online, just keep an eye on them. So I understand. Again, the rule basically there is just be a good parent. And number 10, if you detect these conducts of assault, of violent assault or threatening behavior, report it to then the police's phone number. So all these rules are common sense. Is it a good thing that they released the rules? Sure, it's common sense stuff. If you want to take care of your kids, it's basically the rules could be just resumed. It could be condensed to just be good parents, and that's fine. I get it. That's fine. I have no issues with the rules. The rules seem fine. The issue is how they're trying to disguise these rules, because they want to make it seem like the people or the humans responsible for all the violence going down is the video games, when that's not true. I mean, just to make it easy for you, the dude has a policy that says hugs instead of bullets. That's his way of dealing with criminals, with hugs instead of bullets. Why would that drive crime up? I don't know. It's almost like there's no consequences, but whatever. I mean, I'm not an expert, so we'll just see. I'm just speculating here. But here's what he said on his speech. It was kind of interesting, and I can't imitate him because the translation is probably not going to go well, but I'll try. So we're going to send a message to families, mothers, parents, kids, teenagers about the risks of video games, of Nintendo. All this results very violently and will, without a doubt, hurt. Now, of course, I didn't do him justice, but that's kind of what he says. And it's funny because afterwards he goes on to mention particular video games like Call of Duty, like Free Fire, Gears of War, Grand Theft Auto 5. And for those of you in the know, you know that Nintendo does not have any of those fucking games. So the guy's going off on a rant, off the cuff, blaming Nintendo for games they don't even have. Alright, so he got to other stuff, so alright. Of course, everybody's free, forbidden to forbid. The best of everything would be just to pace yourselves, that everybody acts in a responsible manner, and it is important that information and everybody having the responsibility of informing that everybody acts with absolute liberty. That's a direct translation of what he said. Okay, alright. So, Miro, cool element. I started my life of crime after playing Animal Crossing. Well, Animal Crossing is the devil's playground, so there you go. I mean, who would not begin their life? I hear that's the new Joker's origin story, Animal Crossing. But it's interesting because the argument that they're doing here, and it's a reasonable argument at one point. It's that cartels are using video game platforms to recruit youths, because they think that, all right, well, the kids who are playing Call of Duty, they're into guns, and so that's where the cartels are going to be recruiting people. And I could understand why people follow that logic and be like, well, won't that make sense? Here's the issue, though. I don't doubt that there's going to be at least one person that they could recruit via video games. I don't doubt it. Why? Because of access. It gives them access to to a wider base of kids, let's say. So it's just a bunch of kids that they wouldn't have access to before. I get it, because they don't see them in the streets. The big issue here is that most people who play video games are, especially online, have at least enough money to have a video game console, and at least enough money to pay for internet and pay for the game. It's not exactly like cheap. I guess you could play it on your phone, but again, you need to have enough money to pay for the phone that works. So it's not really giving you access to a community that's lacking in the means that would lead them to desire a life of crime. There's a direct correlation in that, because people tend to break the law when they're desperate and need money or food or whatever. Those are the people who you get most likely to get them to break the law, because in their minds, they have nothing to lose. At least that's what I understood. Now, for those of you who don't know, I spent a summer interviewing let's just say a kind of a not nice person related to the criminal elements of the world. Now, it's mostly related to gangs in California, but he also dealt with cartels and stuff. And one of the things that we talked was how do you recruit people? And he shared the story of how he was recruited, and that's kind of how the story goes. Now, maybe they've adapted new methods and stuff like that. I mean, you got to evolve with the times. Maybe they are trying to use video games. It just doesn't seem like a very useful way, because most people who play video games don't know not to trust people on the internet. They don't give away their information that easily, or at least I don't think they do. At least I've never done it. But again, I had my parents supervising me, so it's, again, just the thing is just be good parents. If the message of this thing was just be good parents, cool, I'm fine with it. But the message here is video games bad. Video games make kids violent, and that makes them easier to be recruited by violent people to commit crime. There's just no correlation to it. It's stupid, and I don't understand why they keep attacking this particular industry, this particular community, which is one of the coolest communities out there, because you're sharing an activity, you're having fun, you're releasing stress. I don't understand it. The video game industry makes more money than the film and music industry combined. Why would you attack it? Maybe it's because it's big and they want... Okay, maybe it's because it's so big and they want to take a piece of the pie. They're like, all right, well, we got to find reasons to regulate it. Unfortunately, when they start regulating it, it's going to make everything more expensive, which is going to screw over the consumers who really haven't done anything wrong. So you're grabbing a bunch of outliers and using them as the norm, and saying that this is what always happens. And in order to prevent it, the government has to step in, and they have to take more money from them, which means taking more money from us, who are the people who actually play the product, who use the product, and we use it in a way that's fine. Most of us are adults, I think. Yeah, I'm an adult. Most of the people, well, I was going to say that most people that I know are grown-ups, but I'm not hanging around with a bunch of teenagers, because that would be weird. So it's one of those things like, well, just maybe, I don't know, age restrict stuff? Oh, wait, there's already age restrictions for video games. I don't know what else you can fucking do. They just want to take money from them, and that means taking money from us, because obviously the price is going to go up to the other thing, and it's just going to give him more excuses for, whoa, I messed that up. Well, more excuses for regulation and stuff like that, which is going to make video games suck. So, let's just say, I agree with the rules. I just don't trust these people. I know where this is going, or at least I think I know where this is going, and I don't like it. But there's not much I can do there. So that's a good place to stop, I guess. It's a good place to stop. I gotta do the music thing again, which is gonna blow out my ears. So I'm sorry, because I tend to mess this up as soon as I take these out. I'm sorry. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me again on the live stream at Super Dario World on YouTube and on Twitch. If you want to send me any private messages or anything, you can do that on Instagram at DarioSDW and at Super Dario World. I'll be back probably on Monday streaming. Supposedly, I should be fine. My schedule should be back to normal. So at 10 a.m., I'll be seeing you. As always, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again next time.